Hi, I'm Dr. Vinod, a psychiatrist. Sometimes we are forced to look back into ourselves more deeply. This is what I wrote to myself 7 days ago. Despite me assessing insight in every person who comes for consultation, insight is much harder when the person you are evaluating is you. My story begins with my subscriber count and some of my well-wishers. "11 days. Not a single new subscriber in 11 days. I've been tracking it hourly.
I know. I've seen your tracking sheets.
There were 6 tracking sheets.
I've seen all 6.
And the watch time? 40% on the last video. It was 42 before that, 45 before that. That's not a plateau, that's a
Decline. Yes. I've noted it.
We could be like Inside Out, reaching millions. Every person who's ever felt something they couldn't name, finally seeing it on screen and thinking, that's me. That's exactly what that is.
Inside Out had a budget of $200 million. 250 people. 5 years of production. 11 psychologist consultants before the first frame was rendered. We have
Less than that.
considerably less.
They're talking about my channel.
Some of you are going to look at this and think, Dr. Sahab, this looks like multiple personality disorder. But it's not that simple, and that's what makes it so interesting. These are not different personalities. These are different departments. Same organization. Catastrophically poor interdepartmental communication. You've seen Inside Out? Pixar spent 5 years and $200 million making exactly this point. I'm not going to pretend they didn't get there first. The difference is they had to imagine it. I just have to show up to work. Pixar introduced anxiety in Inside Out 2. The sequel, we're doing it in episode 1. See our audacity.
This is Anxious Mind. Official function, threat detection, and early warning system. He is genuinely very good at his job. The job, unfortunately, never ends.
The thumbnail. Was it the thumbnail?
I've analyzed thumbnails from the top 40 mental health channels, and ours is statistically fine, which means it's the title, or the posting time, or both, or neither, and it's something deeper in the algorithm that we can't.
Am I wrong?
Not entirely. No. This is the thing about anxiety that most people miss. It's not irrational. It's over-applied. The mechanism is correct. The doses is the problem. This is Inner Critic, performance evaluation and quality control. The last 4 videos averaged 40% watch time.
The trend is declining, not stable, declining. I submitted a report.
He did submit a report.
3 pages.
It was thorough. Did it have recommendations?
The report identified the problems. The recommendation section is pending.
14 years of training. I have a quality control system that identifies problems with great precision and considers solutions a separate department's responsibility. This tracks. And this is the part of my mind that responds to unresolved problems by immediately generating structured solutions before the problem has been understood, before it has technically finished being a problem.
Revised posting schedule, 3 thumbnail variations, hook rewrite framework. Version 9, because version 8 had an inconsistency in the KPI column.
The action plan has a traffic light system. It's very good. I know it is. The traffic light system is probably excellent. The only thing it cannot do, the thing no version of any action plan can do, is the thing that needs to happen first. And then there's one more. This one's harder to explain. And then there's one more. This one's harder to explain.
Every psychiatrist has a supervisor, someone more senior, more experienced. You sit across from them, usually once a month, and they ask you about your difficult cases. The good ones don't immediately tell you what to do. They sit with you in the uncertainty. That's what this one does.
Compassion, 5 items. Overworker CV is 43 pages. 5 items. This one doesn't come on command. Not by force. Not by scheduling. This one comes when the room has been honest enough to be actually heard, which means we have some work to do first.
Here is the situation, and I want to speak to 2 people at once right now. If you run a channel, any size, you know exactly what I'm about to describe. And if you have never touched YouTube in your life, you also know exactly what I'm about to describe. Because this isn't actually about YouTube. I am a psychiatrist, associate professor, 14 years of psychiatric training, full outpatient clinic, 3 postgraduate students under supervision, research paper pending submission. I also run a YouTube channel about mental health.
239 subscribers. Now, 239 people chose to come back. Each one is a real person who found something worth returning to. That is not nothing.
And yet, at 5 in the morning, when it was still dark, I picked up my phone and checked that number. And in that moment, 239 stopped feeling like data. It started feeling like a verdict. Not enough, not yet, maybe not ever. If you felt that about a number, a result, a response, anything you made and put out and waited for, then this episode is for you. And also, incidentally, for me. Yes, you can speak.
The subscriber count hasn't moved in 11 days, which means the algorithm has deprioritized us, which means new people aren't finding the content, which means the people who need this, the ones searching at 2 in the morning for something that makes sense of what they're feeling, they're finding something else, something less accurate, something that tells them to just breathe through it or write in a gratitude journal or... I'm not saying gratitude journals are bad. I'm saying they're not sufficient for everyone. I'm saying some people need actual psychiatric understanding delivered clearly. And if the algorithm has decided our retention means we don't get shown, then our ability to crack YouTube growth is, in a meaningful sense, a gap in accessible mental health education.
From 11 days without a new subscriber to gap in accessible mental health education.
50 seconds. This is a catastrophizing pathway. Each step is technically possible. The logic is internally coherent.
The emotional weight of the endpoint travels all the way back and lands on 239.
You've done this. Maybe not about YouTube, maybe about a job application you didn't hear back from, a message left unread, a presentation that got a polite response and nothing else. The mind takes one data point and traces a path to the worst possible meaning. The number isn't the problem. The verdict the number becomes, that's the problem.
You're not wrong that the reach matters. You're wrong about what the reach means right now. 239 people found this while we were learning how to make it, before we'd figured out the hooks, before version 9 of anything. That's actually not a bad place to start.
May I?
Go ahead.
The concern about reach is valid. The method of expressing the concern is not useful. The content quality, specifically the hook in the first 30 seconds, is inconsistent.
3 of the last 4 videos opened with a clinical definition.
Accurate. Complete. Slow. Boring to people who don't already care.
The people who do care, the psychiatrists, the psychologists, the medical students, they're busy, readies, running their OPDs, papers. Some of them are making their own content. They will not stop scrolling for a definition they already know.
But some of them could be our people, if we give them something specific enough to be worth their time. If the hook earns the stop. Currently, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's not a strategy.
He's right. I genuinely hate that he's right. But he is.
And here's the thing. This is the thing that makes criticism hard to receive even when it's accurate. He's not wrong about the problem. What's missing is any acknowledgement that the problem was hard to make in the first place. Full OPD every week, 3 postgraduate students, 14 years. And the note I get back is, the hook was slow. Did you notice any of that?
I noticed. That's not my function. My function is accuracy. If I adjust the data for effort, the data becomes unreliable.
Delivery is not my job.
Accuracy without context isn't accuracy. It's a partial picture.
First time I've seen him not have an immediate answer to something.
I have a presentation.
Of course he does.
12 slides, I kept it concise.
The original was 23.
But I managed to trim it down.
Slide 1, the problem. Slides 2 and 3, the data. Slides 4 through 8, proposed solutions ranked by effort to impact ratio.
And slide 9 is where he learns to breathe.
Slides 9 and 10, content calendar, Q2. Slide 11, thumbnail testing framework. It's 9:30 in the morning. There is a part of every human mind that responds to distress by building a traffic light system. It is not the worst response. It is also not what's needed right now. Can you put it down for a moment? The traffic light system is genuinely excellent. I know. We'll look at it later, I promise.
That's also real, by the way. The part of us that is trying to help, even at the wrong moment, it needs to know it hasn't been wasted. It just needs to wait its turn.
In psychiatry, we have the multidisciplinary team meeting. Every department, every Thursday, different professionals. Same patient. Everyone convinced they're seeing the most important part of the picture.
I have one of these in my head every day, completely rent-free.
Our engagement is down.
Tuesday data shows that we are losing engagement, our CTR is down, our weekly and monthly watch hours are down, less than 25% viewers are watching our videos till the end, and it is getting worse than what we have started with.
Engagement is irrelevant without
I've modeled both scenarios. Version 11 now.
We should hire a video editor. There is no other way to improve our video quality. We have so much work to catch up, and there is this study.
Okay.
Or Wednesday, some studies say
those studies are from 2019.
Which are talking about how one should use
I will make a
algorithm
newer
better,
version for our
improve their
MDT
video
meeting.
quality.
Okay. Thank you.
Every Thursday, same meeting, different names on the whiteboard. The anxious one always has the most data. The critical one is right about at least one thing and finds the timing to mention it deeply inconvenient. The industrious one has already completed work for a solution nobody agreed to pursue. Sound familiar?
This is either very good self-awareness or a very good form of manipulation.
Here's what I know. Anxious Mind ran a catastrophizing pathway from 239 subscribers to a gap in national mental health education.
The critic submitted a 3-page report identifying every problem with no recommendations. Overworker has produced version 9, possibly 10 by now, of an action plan nobody asked for yet.
I know what all of this is. I have 14 years of training that can name every single mechanism operating in this room right now. And I check the subscriber count at 5 in the morning, twice. Knowing does not grant immunity.
What it does, maybe, is let you notice faster and choose what comes next.
The panic had to happen. The slides had to be made and set aside.
The criticism has to be heard.
The MDT meeting had to run its full course. None of that was wasted time. It was the room becoming honest enough.
And apparently, a full MDT meeting, 2 subscriber count checks, and 6 catastrophizing tracking sheets is enough. Good to know. Five items. The hardest things to define always have the shortest CVs. 5 items. And the strangest thing, the people who grow the most are not the ones who mastered the first 3 characters in this room.
People who grow the most are the ones who found this one and stopped running from her.
You would have noticed I said her, not him, not them. That is deliberate.
There is an old image, Ardhanarishvara, half Shiva, half Parvati.
Not a man and a woman together. One being, split down the middle, not in conflict. In integration.
The compassionate capacity, the part that can feel without flooding, receive without losing herself. This capacity has always lived in the male psyche. It has simply been assigned a feminine address. That is a cultural fact, not a biological one.
So when I say her, I'm not saying this is a woman who has arrived in my mind. I'm saying this is the part of me that took a form.
The part that was always here, quiet enough to be seen. That simply needed the room to be quiet enough to be seen. That simply was always here.
वो तब आती है जब कमरे में इतनी ईमानदारी हो जाती है कि she can actually be heard.
There she is.
Just hold on a moment. Before anything else, I want to say something about what just happened in this room. The panic, the data, the 12 slides, the MDT meeting. None of that was a malfunction. That was a mind that cares deeply about whether this reaches people, about whether the people searching at 2 a.m. for something that makes sense of what they're feeling, caring that much and watching a number not move is painful. Not dramatic, not clinical, just quietly, persistently painful. And the first thing I want to say is, that pain makes sense. It is proportionate. It means something real is at stake. Brene Brown, she spent 12 years studying vulnerability and shame. And she found something that runs counter to everything we're taught about strength. She found that vulnerability, the willingness to show up when you cannot control the outcome, is not weakness. It is the birthplace of everything worth making. Every video made and posted and watched by 239 people is an act of vulnerability. You made something, you put it out, you could not control what happened next. That is not failure. That is the exact definition of creative courage. Self-compassion, and I want to be specific about what this means, because people hear it and think it means lowering the bar. Self-compassion is not telling yourself everything is fine when it isn't. It is allowing yourself to be seen by yourself without requiring a particular outcome before you're allowed to be okay. 239 people, 40% watch time, 11 days without growth. That is what is true right now. And you, the person who made those videos anyway, are allowed to be okay while that is true. Those are not contradictory positions. Kristen Neff calls this common humanity. The recognition that suffering and imperfection are not personal failures. They are part of what it means to be doing something real. Every person who has ever made anything felt this exact silence. The ones you admire. The ones whose numbers you wish you had. The ones who seem to have it working. They felt this. Some of them still do, in different forms. The difference between them and this moment is not that they don't feel it. The difference is one more video. And one more after that. You are not behind. You are in the part of the process that everyone goes through and nobody posts about. Staying curious about why it isn't working yet, instead of certain that it never will. You are not alone in this.
I have a lecture on this. 14 years. Common humanity, vulnerability. I've delivered this, or something close to it, to patients, to residents, to postgraduate students. Still needed to hear it. That's not a failure of the training. That's just being human while also being a psychiatrist, which it turns out is allowed.
And you've been running since before 5 this morning, watching every number, every signal, every possible indication that something might be going wrong. I want to ask you something. Why do you do that? Because you care about whether this reaches people, about whether the work is worth something. That is not a malfunction. About not wasting the opportunity when the people who need this are actually out there looking. That is not a malfunction. That is the right impulse, sitting right now inside a metric, inside 239, as though that number can hold all of what you're actually trying to protect. It can't. You've been doing difficult, real work. You can put it down for a minute. I've got him.
He sat down with some ease. First time today. How is that? Uncomfortable. Progress.
You were right about the hooks. The watch time data is real. The declining trend is real. The gap between what this content could reach and what it currently does, real. You've been right about the technical problems. Consistently. And nobody's been enjoying hearing it, but you've been right. What you haven't been is being useful about it.
Delivery is not my function. My function is accuracy. If I adjust the data for feelings, the data becomes unreliable. I know. 14 years of clinical training, I have never seen that happen in under 40 minutes. Compassion is faster than 14 years of Thursday meetings. Make a note. Compassion is faster than 14 years of Thursday meetings.
You have been trying to fix this since before the sun came up. Version after version, each one more complete than the last. That is not nothing. But I want to ask you something. What are you running on? Not what you are doing. What is fueling it? Version after version, since 5:20 this morning, that is not enthusiasm. That is a mind that cannot put the pen down because putting the pen down feels like admitting something it is not ready to admit. That the work might not be enough. That he might not be enough. And so, one more version. Because one more version means it has not been decided yet.
If this were a clinical consultation, patient presents, successful professional, 14 years of training, running a mental health channel because genuinely, he believes it can reach people who need it. Presenting difficulty in number, 239, which has stopped feeling like data and started feeling like a verdict. What would I write in the notes? Give yourself
one more thing about what you just wrote. People hear self-compassion and think it means lowering the bar, not caring about the 40%, not caring about the 11 days. The research says the opposite. Neff, Gilbert, Shapira, the consistent finding across all three is that self-compassion doesn't reduce ambition or effort. It changes what the effort is fueled by. The person running on self-criticism eventually hits a wall. Because criticism can drive you forward, but it cannot sustain you. It depletes. The person running on self-compassion stays curious. The person running on self-compassion stays curious, recovers faster from setbacks, comes back to the work because the work itself still means something, not because they're trying to silence the critic. It's not about silencing the critic. It's about finding the work meaningful again. What you wrote in that notebook is not a concession to mediocrity. It is the clinical decision that makes continued good work possible.
I can build a framework for that.
He absolutely can.
Later, version 1.
And we're back.
So, what does a room look like after a short session with compassion? Not transformed, not resolved, but something. Let me show you.
This room held a lot today. Before this room closes, I want to speak to you. Not to him. To you. You watched a mind run its committee meeting. The tracking, the criticizing, the relentless preparing. You recognized something. You were meant to. Brené Brown spent 12 years studying what makes people feel worthy of love and belonging. She found that the people who felt worthy were not the ones who had no struggle. They were the ones who believed, despite the struggle, that they were enough. The anxiety is real. The self-criticism is real. The exhaustion of always preparing for what might go wrong. All of it is real. Radical acceptance does not ask you to pretend otherwise. It asks you to stop adding a second layer of suffering, the suffering of fighting what is already true. For him, it was a subscriber count. For you, it may be something else entirely. A promotion that did not come. A relationship that did not hold. A version of yourself you have been waiting to become. The number is different. The feeling is identical. Because we are all the same underneath it. Self-compassion is not telling yourself everything is fine when it is not. It is looking at what is true, the struggle, the number, the tired, and saying, this is hard, and I am still here. Both of those things can be true at once. What changes when you stop fighting the difficult emotion and simply recognize it is not that the emotion disappears. What changes is that you stop spending your energy on the war against yourself. And that energy, that is what keeps you going. Whatever your number is, whatever the thing is that you check when you should be sleeping, give yourself what you would give someone you love who was carrying the same thing. Not because it will fix it. Because you deserve to be accompanied through it.
The numbers? They'll come.
Because someone who can sit with themselves, honestly, not perfectly, can actually sit with somebody else. And that is, as far as I can tell, the only thing that has ever made any of us any good at this. Right. That's enough therapy for today.
If this video reaches 240, hello. And if it doesn't, I have notes. And I know what to do with them.
7 days ago, I opened a diary and wrote one line to myself. Turns out it took a full committee meeting to understand it. Worth it.